to a City Planner Plays City Builders, where we are building Verde Beach. And in the last episode we built this city park, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. We were able to get it to level 2. Right now it's called Birch Hill, and I saw a couple names in the comments that I really liked. In fact, there were 2 users. It was Forg and Dallas Tarkleton, and I apologize if I butchered your names at all, but they suggested Founders Park, and I really like that. So I'm gonna not Founds, Founders Park, and I like that, so I'm gonna go with that. But I also saw another name, Robert Brabish recommended Fisherman's Bend, and so I want to have another park, I think, along here that will provide another opportunity for people to access the shoreline. So I'm gonna have a mini park here. Well, maybe I should actually make that a park and not a neighborhood. So I'll add another park here, and in the future I want to come back to that. So we're gonna come back to that. And one of the other comments I saw that I really liked was that it's not really fair to charge people for a city park. And I agree. Most parks that you'd pay for would be large state parks or federal parks, not one of these small parks. So I'm gonna eliminate the fee to this, and look at that, now we level up. So we've reached level 3. I'm gonna add a couple more things to this park, but what I was thinking for this episode is we're really kind of at a crossroads with the community. We either can keep growing and sprawling and getting bigger and bigger, and that's an option. We could install some transit, and I think that that would be a good choice. Or the other thing we could do is develop a vision for the city and an identity. And I think that when you look at this map, what I see is a couple things that jump out at me. One, there's water, and a lot of it. And the other is that there's a lot of forest. So what I think we're going to do in this episode is actually develop that forest identity and develop a forestry district. So I'm going to buy some tiles and develop a forestry district in this forested area. And I mentioned developing an identity for this area, and normally this would happen during visioning sessions or something like that. And visioning sessions could happen for something as small as, one parcel. You could have a visioning session for a public market. What would it look like? Or a neighborhood, or even an entire city. What is the city to you? What do you want it to be? How do you want others to view you? So I think that for this city, at least for the time being, it's going to be based on forestry, and it's going to have a forestry, flair to it. And there's going to be a couple externalities of this. First, I think that this old industrial district that we initially developed with the city is likely going to disappear. I think that slowly buildings are going to fade away from this area. Buildings are going to become abandoned, and that's great. I think that, I think that this is a district that is too close to the residential. I knew that going into this, but we needed industrial, and I didn't want to separate things to a point where people couldn't walk to work. Unfortunately, with the development of the forestry district, we are going to have some of that, but it's a temporary thing. It will be a connected, integrated part of the city at some point. So I'm going to name this the Old Industrial District. Let's give it some flair. And before we get started on our new district, I want to see if there's any parts of this that I haven't developed, and I want to eliminate those. And it looks like, for the most part, things have developed so far. So I think that that's going to change. But before we get to that and get to our new district, I want to take a look at the road naming. So there were a number of comments that pointed out that I just wasn't getting the road naming convention, and I agree. After playing around with this a little bit, this little adjust road dumbbell type icon, when you click on that, it actually pulls up this great tool that allows you to adjust where roads start and end. And with that, you can have roads that, if they for some reason don't make sense with where the naming starts and stops, you can fix them. So I'm going to need to do that shortly. For the time being, not necessary. So that was another thing that was mentioned, Remembrance Lane. Let's get to purchasing these properties. Now I think it would be natural to continue along this side of the highway. The highway is a barrier, so is this rail line, but we'll have access to the rail line for our industrial district over here. So we're going to be good there, and cities are naturally going to take the path of least resistance when they're growing. They're not going to cross the river arbitrarily just because it looks nice. They're going to probably stick on this side of the river until there is enough demand and prices are expensive enough over here to warrant expanding across and getting some of this free land. The other thing that could influence that would be resources. And there are resources over here that would be desirable should we want to create a district for ore mining, for instance. That would be a rationale for crossing the water. But I just don't see it right now. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we're not going to do that just yet. So the first thing I think I want to do is continue building River Street, West River Street, and follow the riverbank to the edge of the map. And I'm going to do some things here that are a little abnormal for me. First of all, I'm going to do some gridding without actually building, or without actually zoning. And the reason for this is I want this to appear natural. And normally, lands like this would be platted. And that's one thing that I really wish that this game had more of an ability to do, and that would be long-range roadway planning. A plat is simply laying out all of the neighborhoods and roads, utilities for the future before anything is ever built, making sure that things will work, making sure that you're working around things like hillsides and slopes and different natural features, and coming up with an organization that's logical and works for the area. And that's one thing that a lot of people, myself included, when they play this game, are kind of just winging it and building what feels right at the time without a plan. And I think that you come up with a better layout and better design when you do plan, because you can think about things more logically. So, for instance, if I were looking at this in planning, I would notice that I have a north-south collector and no east-west collector. So I would know that I need a collector at some point to go this way. Or I'd have to be relying on the highway, which is an arterial, and I need to bring a collector down into this neighborhood. If we think about this a little bit, we can make sure that we come up with that up front and have that available up front because we planned for it. So I am going to get back to that. What I want to do right now is come up with our starting area for our new district. And I want to have a different grid down here. So I think what I'm going to do is have a 30 by 30 grid, kind of a rural grid, bigger, and we can modify this as is needed as we're developing our district. Okay, so I've put this here, and I know that this is probably not, well, first I'll back up a second. So I made this very loose grid, and this will allow us to form the foundation of our new forestry district. So I'm going to paint this industry area, and I'm going to make it real chunky and ugly right now, and I'll clean it up later on when the district is built out a little bit. So I'm going to way overdo it. Wood Center, it's like it knew. So I put this area with Charles Way, Evergreen Road, I like that too. Charles Way, this is where at some point there'll be a cargo rail hub. We'll need to modify the train tracks a little bit, but I think this will be a good location for it. So Charles, or Evergreen Way, which that's a great name for a forestry district, but not exactly what we want right now. So I'm going to take River Road and use that tool and come up with it. That's wonderful. I really appreciate everyone in the comments who pointed that out, because I had no idea that that was a thing, and it works magic and it's saving my road naming scheme throughout here. So another nice thing with this, so we can stop that there. I'm running out of tree names. Now I have something special planned for this road. This is going to be a major road going through this area, and we are going to establish that in just a moment. We are going to build out our grid down here. I do not like doing this, but in this particular instance, I think you're going to see why I'm doing it. So I want to create a new collector, and I'm going to use, I think this is 6th Street. Yeah, 6th Street is going to be where the collector begins. So thinking about that, I hate to do this, but I didn't make this connection before and I need it. So thinking about 6th Street, that would make a good location for this collector. And we'll bring it all the way up and connect it over to Harris Way. And I have a new name for that once we get it there. Okay, so I think we are good now with our road names. Except for Holmes. I'm going to say that this is... we'll keep it Holmes. It's fine. Unless someone else has another name, I'll keep it as that for now. Okay, so let's get to 6th Street. Okay, so now I'm going to clean up the zoning a little bit. I think there's some funky stuff happening here. So to get this to connect up over here, I want to create one more grid. And I'm going to follow the pattern of the road over here using our same 12 by 15 grid. Okay, so I think I might have gone a little bit too far out with these roads. I really want these to line up nicely so it feels like one continuous street. Okay, so now I see that there's a rock formation here and I don't want to just blast through that. So what I think I'm going to do is continue going up and then work my way around that formation. Now this is going to be a collector, so I need to be aware of that. Let's see if I went too far or not. Ah, shoot, just a little bit. Okay, so now I have this new collector going east-west, and it was a Sneaka 97 that said that maybe the park should be called Semper Verde Boulevard, or Semper Verde Park, and I think Semper Verde Boulevard might be a nice name for this road that is really a major street throughout the city, or will be. So 6th will have a special name. And I think it's probably the longest road in the city outside of River right now. So River might be just slightly longer. So, alright, I'm pleased with how that's turning out. We also are going to need to get utilities to this new district. So I'm going to take care of getting water over there right now. Okay, so we have water. One more change I'm going to make. A lot of people in the comments said, you know, increase that tax rate. It's too low. People can tolerate 12, 13%. 13 makes me squeamish, so I'm going to say 12. That still seems like a lot to me, but we'll go with it. So I think we have the start of our new district, and what we're going to want to place first, obviously, is the starting build, the forestry main building. So we'll place that, which will give us our sawmill, tree plantation, and small log yard. Now, people mentioned that I could make this thing go away. I can. Okay, so that is helpful. So to start out with, there's a couple buildings we have access to: the plantation, the sawmill, which processes the lumber from the plantation, and a lumber yard, which stores the lumber from the plantation. And we'll also need a warehouse, which will store the finished products from the sawmill. So there's a lot of things that we're going to need, but we're probably going to need power before we get any of that. So there are two things I could do. I could either just kind of go and have power lines looping through here, or I could get some zoning established. And I think I have an idea of what I already want here anyway. So I'm just going to get a path of homes and a little commercial node here to get that going. And in the meantime, I will start placing some of our buildings. So I'm going to start out with some of the plantations. And I can already tell it's kind of an awkward roadway shape for the area. But it's okay. This is a forestry district, so you can throw in fences or other things like that to kind of clean it up a little bit. Fences, extra trees. Want to do some of that. So now that I'm looking at this, I'm leery of placing anything facing the collector because I don't want those buildings loading onto the collector. So let's actually reconfigure a bit. And I like my 30 by 30 grid in theory, but in all actuality, I think I might change it up a bit, or maybe just leave this boulevard in there and have trees lining in there. I think that there's an opportunity for a pedestrian path through here. I can keep the same sort of design that we have going through here. And we'll need to fix some of these names later on. I don't think I'm going to worry about that just yet, but I don't want to lose track of that at all. And we're also going to need some of those support buildings like I mentioned. So let's get a lumber yard or two in here. And a sawmill. With the sawmill, I think that what I'm going to do is bring another road through here. Just kind of place the sawmill through there. So this will ensure that this is in close proximity for the raw materials. And now I need a warehouse to store some of those materials. And there are there's a warehouse yard, a small warehouse. This is a kind of an outdoor good, so I think I'll use this outdoor looking warehouse. I've got to set this, so this is going to produce planted timber, so I need to store planted timber. Okay, so I think let's take a look at our district. Name it after Lewis Way. Now that street makes sense. One thing I just noticed, we didn't set priority for this road, and there are junctions everywhere. So let's make this a priority road and eliminate most of these junctions. Okay, so this road has a correct priority, and I want to make one other fix while I'm over here because it's driving me nuts, and that is I want to make this a highway and then fix the lanes. There we go. Now at least it makes sense, kind of. So I am noticing one other thing. We don't have a way to get to the highway And we're not going to want all of this traffic to be doing this crazy loopy thing, if at all possible. Oh, and we're on fire. So that's another problem. I've been really great about forgetting industries, or forgetting utilities. So I think we're going to place this. I don't want it to just serve the industrial area, but it does need to be in this area. Oh, that's so sad. All of our new trees burned to the ground. Okay. Oh, and our factory upgraded while we were doing that. So biomass pellet plant, furniture factory, sawdust storage, workers barracks, and a small sapling factory. So that's great. I think we can do a lot with that. I do want to make another roadway connection before I do that though. And that is, I want to connect 5th up to Lewis Way. So I think 5th should actually be Lewis Way, and we might take Amanda and make that Lewis. But this was 6th, so we need to make this connection. It's going to be an interesting one to make. Might as well finish off those connections while we're making them. It kind of creates an interesting grid over here. You can kind of see this naturally form into here and emerge right in. Okay, so this gives some options for vehicles to get around. We're also going to need to, oh boy, I'm looking at this and this is just, it's bowed out so far. It's kind of crazy. I might want to fix that in the future and bring this in a bit. This is where I would use you know, some mods to clean that up, but I don't have them. That said, this is a sweeping curve and it does make it easy for vehicles to maintain their speeds. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. I'll have to think about that. But we've leveled up, so we should start thinking about the rest of our buildings. And part of what we need to think about is we now have access to a furniture factory, which if we had a paper mill, we could build. We also have access, we have, I guess that's the only one we have access to at this point. So, so we do have our biomass pellet plant, which creates paper and pollution. So we're not going to want to get this anywhere near our forestry district, yet it still needs to be in our forestry district. So kind of a unique situation. So we're going to want to create an area that's a little bit set back from the district that we've created, but at the same time, you know, still is a part of it. So I think I might do something like this. So I think this might be a little factory hub, and I'll just plan on this being kind of a dirty area, but we can have warehouses to buffer from some of the more noxious and polluting uses. I think the trick is going to be, we're going to need to get the resources that these buildings need. So this building, for instance, needs raw forestry products. So we are going to need to get some of those buildings here. And one of the nice things now that we've unlocked some of these other buildings is they fit a different footprint. So this building here, which is a sawdust storage building, it just keeps raw forestry products, but it's a slightly smaller footprint, so fits in a little bit better. Thought that I might be able to sneak a second one in, and I was right-ish. That's terribly close, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so these aren't going to work until we have some more connections made. And to do that, we're going to want to expand the size of our district. Now, I like the idea of having these sapling trees along the highway on a frontage road so you could see it from the highway. But I think that we need to have some access to the highway. And to do that, I think I'm going to create an overpass, just a simple one. And that would make Oak Street a collector in the future as well. So with that in mind, there are two things I could do. I could just bridge it, but I think I would rather terraform, raise this up a little bit, and kind of have a natural increase in height. So let's see how that does. I'm going to start out with fix these dirt roads. And fail at it to start out with. So that's a little less perfect than I would like it to be. I'm going to do one more thing to try to fix that. Okay. And now I am going to upgrade this right off the bat to a collector. Or just a local road. So this will likely function as a collector. Maybe the solution is actually... it doesn't like that. Okay. Well, I'm getting further and further... I'm going further and further backwards with this one. Try one more time. Local road it is, and it's kind of ugly. It's really high. I don't like that. This is where I mismove it. One more time. I can't leave it like that. That's too crazy. Okay, much happier with that. Let's see if we can get that upgraded, and we can. Okay, and then we can put ramps on from here. Not a very sophisticated interchange by any means, but it'll do the trick. Don't need this little segment here, but I think just for looks, I find myself feeling pretty bad about it when it doesn't have this. So I'll just leave it. So now we at least have a way to get into this business, this logging area. So that is going to be helpful. I think we do need to look at our junction. We're fine there, and we should be good. Okay, so let's continue to build out our district. I'd like to get this to level 5, and the reason why I put this little junction area here is I want to have a frontage road. Kind of runs the span of this, and along that frontage road I want to have some of these sapling farms. I'm just going to do a nice long row of them. And so one thing I didn't do with these is change the look at all, so I'm going to change these from alders to beech. And I don't think this actually does anything besides change the look and make me feel better about it. So it's fine. It'll work either way. So we are going to have a ton of forestry products now once we have water serving this area. I'm changing these to greenhouses just because I like the way they look. Now we have quite a bit of production. We can see our forestry products buildings are completely backed up at this point. So we're going to need to have some more either sawmills or more sawdust storage or lumber mills. So I'll add a couple of those here. And I have this space here if I ever wanted to add a local road. It's just a lot of junctions. There's already a ton of junctions on this road, and I would prefer not to do that to a collector, but I have done it. So, and these are going to fill up quickly as well. We still don't have utilities down here, so let's take care of that. All right, so now we have power and water down there. And I want to smooth the grade of this out a little bit. It's a little crazy looking. Oh, that's much better. Okay, so that's looking better now. But we still need a warehouse, I believe, for the paper that this is going to create. So paper, being a dry good, should probably have an enclosed warehouse or two. How crazy does this look? It's very close. Very, very close. That's okay. All right, so this is working well now. Let's see where we're at with leveling up. So we are short on workers. but way over on resource production. We're slowly catching up on the worker front. So I think I'm going to continue to build more. Let's make sure that we actually probably need more storage buildings. So I said I didn't want much on this collector, but I do think I might deviate from that just for these few storage buildings. I think that that's fine to have these. There are 12 vehicles loading off here, but this road's pretty calm with the exception of this, so it'll be okay. I do kind of want to check out the traffic and see how we're doing. You can see that as I say this road's pretty calm, it's actually not. It's actually kind of a mess, and it's partially because of the frontage road I created. There's just a lot happening right here, but it's not breaking down. It's just busy, and that's busy is okay. Breaking down is not. But the rest of the city, perfect everywhere else. Ooh, so I want to come back here. This district is hollowing out, and I want to take advantage of that. So I don't want this district here anymore, but I don't want to force anyone out of their property. That said, if you're not there, your building's abandoned, we're not going to keep you zoned. These are grandfathered uses, and as they turn over, we will eliminate them. I would love to place the policy on here to reduce ground waste, but ground pollution, but we don't have that ability just yet. So lots of demand for housing. So I think we actually might fulfill some of that demand right now because we need to have enough workers to work in this new district. Okay, and we've leveled up printing press, tree plantation, large log yard, which is going to be very helpful because we desperately need that. So now we have some homes filling in here. I think I might just do a few more of these. I'm gonna have to eliminate that house if I want to get this path through, which I do. So there we are. And we leveled up again in our factory district. Perfect. So we will head over there in a second once we finish this zoning. Not to say that I'm zoning right now, I'm clearly building paths. Okay, and I want to fill this all in because we're going to need the population to be able to support the growth that's occurring. But I also want to have pockets of commercial activity to support these residential uses. And it looks like we're finally having water problems, so I think that we are going to place another water tower. And let's see the best location for this. Actually might go right here. That should resolve our water problems for a while. We do have sewer problems now, and for that I think I'm going to we have sewer and power problems. Okay, so I think that I'm going to try to take care of both of these right now and get those located close to this area. Like I said, there's pollution over here already, so it would be a place that would make sense to continue having pollution. So I might kind of just work in some of these buildings in this area. Now, someday in the future, I might have a more concentrated area for the water treatment plants. Maybe we'll have a public works campus, but for now, we don't really have that dense of a network of these sorts of things, so I'll keep them over here for the time being. Okay, so we haven't built any buildings in a while now, and we have the ability to do quite a lot. So we can build an engineered wood plant, and I think we're going to do that. And again, this is another building that creates pollution, so we'll want to keep that over here. I think I might want to get a road through here first, though, to break things up a little bit, provide more opportunities for access. And we're going to need more warehouses to handle the freight associated with this building as well. So this needs planted timber. We have paper, raw forestry. Let's have a planted timber building and a building for, yeah, oh sorry, looking at this wrong. There's the raw forestry, and this will be planted timber as well. Busy town. City policies, that's what I was hoping for. Oil specialization, tourism, more buildings, trolleys, which means that we can pursue transit, some transit policies, more roadway options, many more roadway options, including a large avenue, which I really like those. Hospitals, more power plants, so unfortunately just built that one. We got our fishing piers for our Fisherman's Bend Park, volleyball courts, restaurants. So we've got a lot that we can do now. Holy cow, so much that we can add now. So we're gonna want to add quite a number of these buildings to our city over the next little while. But for the time being, let's continue to focus on our forestry area. So you can already see this area is desperately polluted. It's not good. I don't love the look of it. We also have bigger warehouses available to us, so that's good. So now we have our furniture factory, our printing press. We don't have plastic, so we can't do that. And our soft paper factory needs a lot of materials. So we do have access. Ooh. We do have access to this furniture factory, and we have our paper being produced over here. And this is kind of the boundary of our dirty area within this district. And I think I'm going to have more of the goods housed over here as well. So paper, so we're going to want to have our unique factory products here. Okay, very good. So that should max out our forestry district. We're just going to want to be really cognizant of where we're at as far as pollution goes and get rid of some of these trees in the area that are going to die, because I hate the look of that. And I'll do a little bit to clean this up a little bit later, but for the time being, I kind of want to just continue pursuing maxing this area out. Okay, so we'll clean it up a little bit. It is still pretty ugly. There's a lot of grade stuff happening here, but it'll be okay for the time being. It'll work. So let's lay down some more of our larger forestry buildings. So we have this, well, first of all, I don't think I've placed any of the workers' barracks, and that's something I really want to make sure I don't forget about. Okay, so got the barracks there. I think that they should have utilities, well, for the most part. And now I want to plant some of these other unique buildings that we have. Large sapling farm. Alright, so we have this road meandering its way through and connections being made. Okay, so now 5th Street kind of extends all the way through the district. Let's see what else we can place in here. I hate the way that looks. Yeah, this is where it gets to be a challenge. You kind of end up with some of these areas where nothing really fits all that well. And again, more loading off that collector. I don't like that, but we're doing it, unfortunately. I might have one more load off the collector and move these buildings. This is a cul-de-sac and I can't stand that, but I don't know that I can fix it. So, and I cannot. I'm going to temporarily move this here because that's the height of realism, and get this relocated down here. Okay, so this, we should be, once we get water to everything, getting closer to level 5. This is kind of a sprawling district now. It's really big, like I imagined it would be to function correctly. Let's see what we are missing. We are missing workers, of all things. There are a ton of jobs here, and you can see that they're available. It's just that I don't know that we have enough employees in the city to keep up with the demand. So what I think I'm going to do is I want to define this roadway network while these fill in a little bit. Okay, I've done a lot more deleting here than I had hoped that I would, but I think it's for the best. We do have some area that we can work with here now in the future, and I think I might actually try to incorporate some residential into this area. It should be a fairly easy place to do that, but I do want to start cleaning up our boundaries for this district. Okay, so that's a little more well-defined now. It's still pretty janky, but at least it's only the Forestry district. I'm going to fill this in a little bit with some more of these smaller forestry areas, I believe. And then maybe I'll have a trail on the back end. So maybe I'll just leave it like that. I think it's fine. So let's see how we're doing on storage. That's the one thing that I think we could do more of if we really wanted to, would be to have a couple more storage areas. Or at least I meant to build a large storage area, and I think I might have forgotten to do that. So let's look at large forestry yard. I never built it. Okay, so that is the actual end of our forestry district, and we'll just need to wait for the employees to fill in. We're about 100 away before we reach our goal. So like I mentioned, I think that it would be nice to have some workers within close proximity to their workplaces, and to, oh, that's weird, it just lost all of the zoning here when I built that road. So yeah, I want to allow for that by creating some housing in close proximity to this area. Okay, so these districts are going to be entirely unique to this area. I might actually just not mind it that some of these are a little bit smaller. Maybe even put a trail, proactively put a trail to divide these in half. And then more trails to really, define the forestry district from this housing that I'm going to put in. And I should take a look at our noise first. Whoops, I should actually look at our noise. Yeah, there's some noise pollution here, so this actually might be a better place for commercial. It looks like we can get away with it over here, where it's not quite so bad. Whoops, I missed one trail through this neighborhood. here I go, just demolishing everything. But I want to keep these lots smaller. This is workforce housing. Maybe this is provided by the Lewis Lumber Company to their employees. Inexpensive housing that they could purchase with the salaries from their jobs. So I think that this is going to help this. Yeah, you can see that we are getting very. Oh, I guess we're still 100 away, but we're certainly close. All right, let's make sure that all of our factories are working well. Plenty of forestry products. Ooh, water. Let's look at some of our city services too. So there's no police coverage out here. We should remedy that. We added fire coverage. Why not? Police coverage as well for schools. Capacity is a little bit low. This is kind of a public services center at this point, so I'm just going to continue that motif here. And great views from this elementary school at that abandoned factory. And you can see that making these couple changes has really improved what's happening in this district, and we're so close to level 5. I just want to take a look for the next little while. Okay, so we have enough workers. What I'm noticing is that we don't have enough output yet, but we're getting closer. So we're certainly I want to play with these production rates. We have a lot of resources, so at this point, why not just kick it up and boost our profits? And we have this nice big warehouse for unique factory products. So might as well take advantage of that. Now, one thing I'm noticing that's interesting is our roadway network is breaking down over here. I'm curious as to where everyone's going. Interestingly, they're not even coming here. They're just going somewhere else, and the cloverleaf is failing them. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe at some point we'll need to fix that. I think it's pretty unfortunate that this is breaking for other areas. Let's just do a couple quick things. We'll make Biffa happy with some lane mathematics. And the angles are just so sharp that it's just a slow going over that. And then, you know, it's challenge with cloverleafs because you have this motion where people are weaving into a merge lane. It's not a great movement. So close. We are about 1,000 units away, and now filling up with trash. So let's see what we can do to remedy that trash problem. This would seem to be a fine location for this. All of the negative impacts going to trees, a factory, a road, that's fine. And now our garbage processing status is acceptable. You can see that our transportation network is taking a beating now with this district. And particularly in this area, I mentioned all of this loading onto the collector might not be the best. And it isn't. One of the problems I have here is I had a stoplight. I should really probably check all of these. First of all, just make sure that it's not a priority road. Give it priority. All right. So pulp mill, modular house factory, large tree plantation, level 5. So we made it. I do want to see if any of these are available to us. I think the large pulp mill is. Yeah, that again produces paper. So I think that this would be a great asset to showcase. Again, this pollutes. Ooh, I might want to again slide some of this stuff over. Probably should have planned this out a little bit better. Okay, so now we have a little bit more storage paper being created here, which will go directly into our factory and be stored in these warehouses. I think that we're in a good spot. It's unfortunate that the first thing you see when you come into town is all of this pollution, but industry is progress, and that's what you see when you enter Verde Beach, although it's quite brown over here. Once you get into the city, it's going to get a lot nicer. And we do have our policy. That's probably one of the last things I want to do today is start cleaning this area up. Filter industrial waste. Let's make it more worker friendly, less desirable to develop a factory in this district. Because ultimately that's what I am hoping for, is to kind of choke this district off without being the guy that goes and just demolishes everything. So let's power water usage. Actually, that's just hurting me. That's not hurting them. So we'll leave it there for now. So I think that's where we're going to end things today. I'm pretty pleased though. We have a 5-star lumber company. Let's take a look. You can see it naturally blends into this area. We do have some roads we need to fix, but I think we're in a pretty good spot. And let's check out our traffic. Oh, it's improving with those couple changes that we made. A roundabout here could have improved things. Now it won't fit. At this point, the way to manage traffic will probably be to eliminate access, which is another way of handling traffic issues when you have them. See, citizens. Good move. Rents are rising. Yeah, we got some good feedback from the residents, except the pulp mill don't like that. Right? So anyway, I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think the city's humming along. There's certainly some things to improve. This junction going into town is less than ideal. Having a stoplight be the first thing that greets you, not great. But I think that we're developing all right, and we have a good financial foundation now. We're making a little bit of profit with this area. We've got our factory making some money, although it is out of planted timber of all things. So probably need one more engineered wood plant. I know I'm supposed to end this. It's just it's so much fun. Okay, so that's where I promise I will end this. Kidding, one more. I think having enough resources is gonna be really a beneficial thing here. So, sorry, not sorry that I continue to build things. I think this is good for the area and good for the bottom line of this district. So this is gonna help us build more in the city in the future. It's gonna help fund transit. I'd love to offer free public transit, and our industry might be the thing that helps us do that. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this build. If you like this video, please consider liking it. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, please hit that notification bell and you will be notified as soon as I release them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.